I've been informed he's on his way up. Maybe if the witness could sort of begin. I have just a couple more questions for him, and then I can turn to the witness. Mr. Reset is on his way up. And maybe we could have the witness retake the stand once the jury comes back in, and I'll just ask a couple more questions. That's all I have left anyway.
Right. And then has he looked at the other videos, or do you ever?
The witness has not, Your Honor, but I will.
Do you have an agreement on admissibility?
Maybe we could just go to sidebar, put it on the record, Your Honor? Would that be easiest?
Why don't you put it on the record?
I can.
Here.
We're not going to contest the... I've instructed my witness, as long as it looks like video from his footage, he's to cooperate with Mr. Fee and put it in. We're not going to challenge it with regards to that.
I think it's just a logistics. We're just waiting on Mr. Reset. I gave the specific times, Your Honor, and Mr. Reset was going to burn it in the break, so we're content with that. We're just waiting for that.
He's on his way up, Your Honor. He indicated that he was in the process of burning it, so he should be here momentarily, I understand.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. McCauley's slightly mistaken with regards to the technicality of it. We're going to use counsel's hard drive to play it. There wasn't any burning of video. So we're going to use the particular hard drive he has, which is a separate hard drive, right?
Well, I've got the hard drive right here. Can you plug it in?
Do you want to use mine, Mike? So
Sure.
whatever you're done. Where is it over there?
You're going to create a disk from that will ultimately be accessed?
I do need to offer it, Your Honor.
Right, so presumably you don't want to open the hard drive.
I do not.
You're going to create a disk from the hard drive of those minutes that will subsequently be marked as an exhibit?
We could do it that way, Judge.
Right.
We would stipulate that those particular times, put it on a CD, and then just put it into evidence.
Subsequently, and now we can go from the hard drive, not to waste time, to the minutes that Mr. Steve.
We're clear, though, that the Commonwealth's real incentive here is that so that this witness doesn't have to come back. So we're not expecting him to come back. Good. That's what I want, Judge. Thank you.
And you've got the time. Yes, absolutely. Great, thank you.
The motion that was, while we're waiting, the motion that was, so are we ready now to bring it through?
I think he's still calling it up.
While we're waiting, the motion that was just filed regarding the playing of the videotapes, other videotapes, surveillance tapes. Is there any objection to that motion? Have you looked at it yet?
I haven't even read through it.
Okay.
I just wanted to tee the issue up because I learned something yesterday that I'm...
Right. Well, at a minimum, you obviously should be told what was done to the video and look at the video that has been slowed down, that is planned to be played.
The conversation I had with counsel was in anticipation of filing a motion to eliminate for the court to address these very issues.
Okay, so we'll deal with that, but we just factor in, I mean, obviously they need to know what it is that has been done to the video and be given an opportunity to look at it, and it makes sense to do that before there's a hearing because a fair number of times actually understanding what's going on and seeing it obviates the need for a hearing. And so there's not an opposition at this point to anything, it's just clarification. So why don't you file whatever you're going to file, but independently make sure that the defense knows exactly what the programs were used, how whatever Mr. Reset did, and what the slowed down video that you propose to display to the jury, what it is. They actually see
That's
it.
the exact context. I was actually discussing this with counsel when this came up. So
That's fine.
I was saying we're going to do a motion to eliminate having to do with these issues.
So I'm not going to take any action now on this motion.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge.
Now you can dock it. I think are we waiting? No. Or do you have, you're ready to do it? Okay.
Unit 17, one item up, bring it down, please.
Mr. Lopez, do you know how the video that we've played here in court today came to the law enforcement's hands?
It was obtained by, they requested it from me via USB drive.
How long after the actual events in the video was that?
It was Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday of that, right after the incident.
Okay. And do you remember what agencies came to your door to ask for it?
I believe it was the Boston Police Department along with the state police.
Okay. And did you actually go within your home and play the video for them at that time?
Yes,
And then how did they take the video from you?
they did it on a USB drive.
And although we've shown certain pieces of video here today, was that all that was given to them that night?
Yes,
Were there any other parts of the video within your system that they took? Do you know?
at a later time, yes.
Okay. Were they also around that same time of the year?
Yes, at the same time.
Do you know how many days sort of on either side of what you've seen they were?
They came back like 2 days later and obtained a partial copy, but it was too large of a file, so then they obtained the whole system and made a whole copy of the hard drive.
How long does your system sort of keep a recording? How long before it starts to sort of eat itself?
30 to 40 days before it starts re-recording itself.
Okay. Now, with regards to Mr. Lloyd, what is your best recollection for the last time that you saw him alive?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Sustained.
Just a moment. Sidebar, Your Honor? Mr. Lopez, over the lunch break, did you have an opportunity to review prior testimony of yourself in this matter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And with regards to the last time you saw Mr. Lloyd alive, would you like to correct your prior testimony here today with regards to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when was it that you last saw Mr. Lloyd alive?
I last saw Mr. Lloyd about 3 days before the June 17th, before that time, about 3 days before that, which was Friday.
And what was the context of you seeing him? Do you recall?
It was just right after work while I was arriving at home.
And where was he?
He was in the black SUV.
Okay. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lopez.
How you doing? Good afternoon.
Well, thank you. Mr. Lopez, you just corrected your testimony, and you were asked if you had a chance to review prior testimony during the break. Is that right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Whose idea was it to correct your testimony? Did you go to the district attorneys and say, I testified wrongly?
It wasn't a correction.
No, sir. Just answer, if you could, just answer my question. Did you initiate a conversation with the DAs and say, I testified wrongly, I would like to correct it?
No, sir.
Who initiated that conversation?
It's the DA, sir.
Now, Mr. Lopez, your system that you described, I think you described it as running on a loop of 30 to 40 days.
Yes, sir.
And so that's a continuous feed on the cameras that we've discussed today. We've discussed 3 of your cameras, but there are more. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And they're constantly filming day and night?
Yes.
Were those cameras installed and filming on Friday night, the 14th of June,
No, sir.
2000? Excuse me, sir, just let me finish my question. Were those cameras installed on Friday night, June 14th?
No. They were installed, yes.
Okay.
Was the system running? No.
Okay, and let me ask you, why wasn't the system running, sir?
The system is in my kids' room, and my kids turned off the system on that day. I realized that on Saturday.
So does that mean on Friday night, the events of the evening that would have been captured on your video system,
No, sir.
they're not?
No, they wouldn't have been captured.
And that's because your kids turned it off?
No, that's because my cameras are not designed to capture the length of the street where I live in.
Well, I'm talking about, sir, the same vantage point and the same view that you testified on direct was filmed by those 3 cameras. Do you follow me?
Yes, sir.
And what I'm asking is, were those cameras operating and recording 2 days previous, on Friday, June 14th?
Not operating, no.
Because of why, sir?
Because of power outage. Basically, kids turned off the system.
Okay. But had they been operating, those cameras would have picked up the exact same vantage point that we saw, the view across Fayston Street towards 10 Fayston Street.
Yes, sir, but that was not where he was located when I waved at him that day.
Oh, I'm not asking, I'm sorry, Mr. Lopez, I'm not asking about you waving to him that day. I'm just asking about Friday, the 14th, and I'm talking about at night, so into the early morning hours or so. Your cameras would have been working,
Yes, they should have been working.
but they were not.
That's correct.
So we don't have any video of the events of Friday night on Faiston Street or the events of early Saturday morning on Faiston Street.
Not from me, no.
When did your system resume filming Mr. Lloyd's house and the activities in front of it?
For the record, my cameras were not there for Mr. Lloyd's house. They're there for me.
When did your cameras start filming again the events that occur in front of Mr. Lloyd's house?
They started again on Sunday.
And how did you determine that your system was not recording?
I realized it when I went to the kids' room and I was playing around with them, and I realized that they had shut down the computer system that I use for it.
Has that happened before?
Yes.
So by Sunday, had you rebooted the system?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And the results of that are what we have seen today as admitted as evidence from your system, correct?
Yes, sir, yes.
Mr. Lopez, I'd like to direct your attention to some additional video. But before doing that, when you met with the police officers, they viewed the video at your home, isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
And you were with them when they viewed it.
Yes.
And am I correct, sir, that when you viewed it with the officers, you observed video of Mr. Lloyd parking the Chevy Suburban in the driveway very shortly before he was picked up, as we saw in the earlier exhibits?
That's correct.
And did the police officers know about that, sir?
Know about what?
Did they see that same video that you were referring to?
Yes.
So you were with them, and together you saw video of Mr. Lloyd parking the Suburban in his driveway shortly before he was picked up, as we saw in the earlier film.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to direct your attention to that film now, if I could, and ask Mr. Rissette's assistance, if we could, sir. If you could just stop. Now, I'm just freezing it here, Mr. Lopez. I just want to orient you and the jury again. This is camera 7 from your system,
Yes, sir.
and this is what we saw before when we saw the cat walk out by the car.
That's correct.
And the white van you referenced is across the street,
Yes.
and that's Mr. Lloyd's house across the street.
Yes.
And at the front grille of the white van, if we look beyond, there's some lights shining there. Do you see those?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what those lights are?
Must be from the car?
And earlier, you pointed out that driveway at the request of Mr. Griffin and pointed to a black Suburban parked in that driveway. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We can roll the film now, and if I'd just like you to watch it with me, sir. Could you just stop it 1 second? Now, I'm going to stop it right here and just draw your attention to the timestamp down below, Mr. Lopez. You recognize this as being video from your video system, camera 7?
Yes, sir.
And earlier you testified on direct that this timestamp consists of a date and a time?
Yes.
And the date is to the left. So this is June 17th, 2013,
Yes.
and the time is 01:05:34.
Yes, sir.
And can you, that's 24-hour time or so-called military time? Oh, when it says 01, is that 1 in the morning?
That's 1 in the morning.
So this is 1:05 in the morning, Sunday, June 17th.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez, I'm just stopping it here briefly. I believe I misspoke. I said Sunday, June 17th. It's Monday, June 17th, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry about that. And I wanted to point out, you had earlier pointed out the black Chevy Suburban in the driveway where we saw the headlights earlier in this film.
Yes, sir.
And is that vehicle visible to you now, sir?
The car is visible, yes.
Okay. And again, now we're at 1:07 a.m. on Monday, June 17th, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the film we saw earlier that was introduced on direct examination, that was at around 2:30 in the morning,
Yes, sir.
about 90 minutes later.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez, we just watched almost 9 minutes of video, and in the location where the Suburban had been, your video system recorded the Suburban leaving,
Yes.
didn't it, on Monday, June 17th?
Yes, sir.
And as we discussed, your video runs on a continuous loop, especially at that hour of the morning. No one's manning these cameras, correct?
That's correct.
So they're just automatically filming.
Yes.
I'm going to ask Mr. Restet to kindly pull up the video for 1:30 in the morning that same day and ask you to just look at a brief snippet of that. So again, just to orient the timestamp down below, you'd agree with me, sir, June 17th?
Yes, sir.
And it's 1:30 in the morning and 2 seconds, correct? Now, Mr. Lopez, that driveway, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask Mr. Reset again kindly to go to 2 a.m. and show us an excerpt from 2 a.m. If you could just stop it for a second. Again, June 17th, clock reflects 2 a.m. and 5 seconds, correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir, and again, we'll just see that brief snippet at the 2 a.m. hour, and you'd agree with me that your automatic surveillance system depicts no Chevy Suburban in that driveway, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to ask Mr. Reset then to go to 2:11 a.m., and this will be our last passage. You can just let it run. It's fine. To 10 Fayston Street and backing in the driveway where it was earlier when we started this.
Yes.
Thank you. Please continue. Mr. Lopez, I'm going to, if you could just, if you bring that up. So, 16. That's fine, we can stop here. Mr. Lopez, I'm just going to draw your attention to this last piece of video that we saw. I think we ended just a minute ago at 2:16, 16 past 2 in the morning. This is just brought back up on the screen at 2:15. But on your surveillance tape, sir, have you seen anyone leave that Suburban? That is, get out of the car and walk away?
From the time you stopped it, you mean?
Yeah, just from the time it came back to the driveway.
Not yet, no.
Okay. Mr. Lopez, this parking of the Suburban shortly before Mr. Lloyd was picked up, this is what you saw when you were with the police, is that correct?
Yes.
And when you saw that with the police, did the police react in any way? Did they say anything?
Well, keep in mind, it's my system, so I'm the one managing it. I'm not sure what they didn't know what they were looking for.
Okay. Well, what we just saw, thanks to your system, is that Suburban left at a little after 1 in the morning, 1:13 in the morning, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that Suburban returned almost precisely an hour later at 2:13 in the morning, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then shortly thereafter, the video you've seen on direct examination, Mr. Lloyd was picked up, correct?
Yes.
But this video wasn't shown to you on direct examination, was it?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Nothing further.
Thank you.
Questions, sir, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. So the second person that was seen on the video that Mr. Fee showed, do you know who that person is?
It looked like Mr. Lloyd.
The other person there. Was there another person in the car that you saw?
I'm sorry, I'm confused. Can you repeat the question?
Strike it, I'll go backwards. Do you know what Mr. Lloyd was doing at that point in time? On the video that you saw?
On the video, it looked like he was driving the vehicle.
Okay, I have nothing further, thank you.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
You may sit down.
Thank you.
Cuba Seago, please.
Your Honor, may we approach before the witness begins testimony?
time of the final
Correct, Your Honor.
text message.
Right, it would be the party stipulating agree that Mr. Lloyd was alive at 3:22 a.m. on June 17, 2013. That's our proposal to the Commonwealth.
Your Honor, and our request is there were 4 text messages from Odin Lloyd, 2 then responses from his sister, and those text messages indicate his location, not only that he was alive, indicate his location in conjunction with other records.
But she can't get the location.
No,
And
just the fact that she sent a text, it hit his phone, that created a communication that can be
you
located.
can ask her what her telephone number is, and then there are going to be telephone records. I'm not going to, this is simply, it was proffered to get this for the proposition that he was alive.
Your Honor, we went to the sidebar because they brought it up and said, we're getting into things that were
Right,
suppressed. And that was actually not true. And then all of a sudden it devolved into, well, we don't think they should be able to put in the evidence. And this is evidence that's relevant as to, I argued at the sidebar that it showed, one, he was alive.
And I have ruled, Mr. McCauley, so either the Commonwealth is willing to stipulate, or the defendant simply stipulates that he was alive as of that date, or not, but I'm about to bring the jurors back in.
Well, then I would request that they at least stipulate to the 4 text messages that he sent, 3:07, 3:11, 3:22, and 3:23.
If he was alive at 3:23, he was alive earlier.
Well, that strikes everything. You've already indicated you found this to be relevant evidence.
I indicated that once the defendant agreed to stipulate, he
This
was
isn't a
alive as of the time of the last text message, since the relevance was that he was alive, that with that stipulation, I would not permit her to be questioned. Now, the defendant has indicated that it was willing to so stipulate.
Yes, Your Honor.
I then ruled, after weighing all the factors, sustained the objection. Now, either the Commonwealth goes along with that stipulation, or we simply have a defendant stipulating, but I will not, a stipulation is agreement of all parties, so.
Exactly, which.
So if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to stipulate, I will not force you to. You may not ask the question. The objection has been sustained, we can bring the jury back in.
Your Honor,
And you can rely solely on the text, on the phone records, and there will be no question of this witness at all with respect to sending or receiving text messages.
could we just, I asked at sidebar to have a ruling on the record.
I have
about
made a
what the
ruling.
No, the prejudicial, you said I find it's more prejudicial than probative. I said, what is the prejudice?
I have made a ruling. My ruling stands.
Your Honor,
Does the
for purpose of
Commonwealth-
an appeal.
The
we'd like to
appellate
know
court, I believe, will be able to figure out my ruling. I have made a ruling. I don't intend to rule any further. Either the Commonwealth goes along with the stipulation or it doesn't. In any event, we're about to bring the jurors back in. Does the Commonwealth wish to agree to that stipulation, that he was alive as of the date of the last text message?
Your Honor, could I call another witness and then we can discuss this at the end, because I don't see that right now being handed this when there's other things. I just don't want to be rash in making a decision here.
Sure. You may call another witness. Let's bring the jurors in.
Your Honor, we'd call Sergeant Christopher Sicio, please.
Right this way, sir. Please follow me. Face the clerk and raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Sir, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give to this court and this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Have a seat, sir.
Thank you.
May I, Your Honor? Sir, state your full name.
My name is Christopher Sicio.
Could you spell your last name, please?
Yes, C-I-C-C-I-O.
And where do you work?
I work for the North Attleboro Police Department,
And how long have you worked there?
approximately 28 years.
And taking you back to June of 2013, how were you assigned at that time?
I was assigned as a detective.
Now, on June 17th of 2013, were you working?
Yes, I was.
And what shift did you work?
I worked the 8 a.m. to the 4 p.m. shift.
And after 4 p.m., did you go somewhere?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go?
I went home.
And after going home, did you go somewhere else?
I did. I went to the gym.
And while you were at the gym, did you receive a phone call?
I did.
And who was the call from?
Captain Joseph Dorenzo.
And as a result of the phone call, did you do something?
I did.
What did you do?
I left the gym and returned home.
And when you returned home, what did you do?
I changed into my work clothes, gathered my gear, and left my house.
Where did you go from your home?
I responded to Corliss Landing in North Attleboro.
Okay, and have you ever been to that location in the past?
Yes, I have.
And approximately what time did you arrive there?
I arrived at approximately 6:30, 6:35 in the evening.
Okay. Now, when you arrived, if you just describe what you did.
I parked my cruiser.
Where did you park?
I parked approximately 20 yards off of John Deach Boulevard prior to the Corliss Landing entrance.
Okay. And what did you do from there?
I got out of my cruiser and I began to walk down past the Corliss Landing entrance toward a roadway.
Okay. And at some point as you went toward this roadway, did you meet any fellow officers?
I did. As I continued to walk down, I came upon Officer Zimmer and Officer McEwen.
And where were they at that time?
They were situated approximately 50 to 75 yards from where I had parked my car, and they were at the perimeter of a crime scene that had been cordoned off with yellow police tape.
Okay. Do you know if anybody was keeping a log at that time?
Yes, I do.
And were you logged in?
Yes, I was.
And who logged you in?
Officer Zimmer.
Okay. What did you do from there?
From there, I proceeded to continue to walk down the dirt road, which is actually a hard, compacted gravel type of road. Also, it consisted of a substance that I call a binder for like concrete. And I proceeded to walk down towards where the other officers were.
Did you make any observations as you were walking down that road?
Yes, I did. At the time I was walking down that road, the temperature had dropped, wind had been picking up, and the clouds were getting very dark. And the closer I got to where everybody else was, I began to notice some tire tracks off to my right. And as I began to get closer to everybody else, I ended up noticing what appeared to be a deceased male, black African-American male, lying on the ground.
Okay. And at that time, approximately how many officers were on the scene?
I'd estimate approximately 1 dozen.
And where were they located?
Most were ahead of me and to my left.
When you say ahead of you and to your left, where was that in relation to the body of this man?
Most would be to the left head area of the body of Odin Lloyd.
Okay. And when you say most, were there other officers who were not in that general area?
There may have been, yes.
Okay. Do you recall whether any action was being taken or any activity going on when you arrived?
Yes.
And just describe what you saw.
Well, I saw a few officers communicating with one another,
having conversations. And shortly after my arrival, we received some tarps and pop-up tent-style canopies from the fire department arrived.
And what happened with those tents and tarps?
They were set up. There were some tarps used to cover the tire tracks that I mentioned. There were some tarps used to cover some footwear impressions. And there was a tarp used to cover the body of Odin Lloyd, and also a tent set up over the tarp that covered the body of Odin Lloyd, and another tent that was set up that some officers stood under.
And how long did the weather ultimately lead to rain?
The rain began approximately 20 minutes after I arrived, so it estimated approximately 6:50.
And during that 20 minutes, were these items all covered before the rain began?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Did you ever have an occasion, well, first of all, how long did the rain last?
The rain lasted approximately 1 hour.
And just describe how it rained.
It rained very hard and steady, along with the darkening clouds and the wind for that probably 1 hour period.
Did you take cover somewhere?
For some portions of that time, yes, I did.
Okay. Now, during this time, or prior to the rain, did you ever go to an area below the feet of where this man lay?
No, I did not.
Okay. And after, at some point, the rain stopped?
Yes, it did.
And approximately what time was that?
Approximately 7:50 p.m.
And just tell us what you did after the rain stopped.
Eventually, after the rain stopped, at some point afterward, we began to uncover the body of Odin Lloyd. Actually, first we removed the canopy, the tent was removed from its location, and then the cover, the tarp, was removed.
Okay. And when the tarp was removed, were there certain actions taken with regard to the body?
Yes, there was.
And what was that?
You're referring to with regarding to the inventory of the body?
Was an inventory conducted?
Yes, it was.
And who, did you participate in that?
I did.
And just tell us what you did.
I received, documented, secured, and later entered into evidence numerous items that were taken from various pockets of the body of Odin Lloyd.
Okay. And do you have additional duties, or in addition to being a detective in the North Attleboro Police Department?
Yes, I do.
And what additional duties do you have?
One would be that I am an evidence officer.
Okay. And certain items, after they were recovered, were they turned over to you?
Yes.
Okay, and what items were those?
Referring to in addition to the items that were taken from the body?
Well, let's start with those. What items were taken from the body were ultimately turned over to you?
Okay. Beginning with right front pocket of Odin Lloyd's pants were a set of keys. There were 2 Chevrolet keys and 2 devices that I would describe as remote keyless entry devices or key fobs. And they were on a rectangle clear plastic keychain, and there were some markings on that keychain. And in addition to the keys, there was a small blue round canister of lip balm.
Okay. And were those secured?
Yes, they were. They were documented on a brown paper evidence bag and secured into that bag.
Okay. Was anything else recovered at the scene that you took custody of?
Yes.
What was that?
In the left front pocket of Odin Lloyd's jeans were another set of keys. There were 4 silver keys, appeared to be some of his personal keys. And attached to those keys was a round leather keychain with the letter O on it, and also 3 or 4 membership tags or courtesy cards, one being from Gold's Gym, another being from, I believe, the Blue Hill Fitness Club, and one being from Rite Aid.
And how were those secured?
Those were also secured into brown paper evidence bags.
Okay. Anything else that you took custody of from the scene?
Yes. From the left rear pocket of Odin Lloyd's jeans, I took custody of $64.75, with the denominations being 3 $20 bills, 4 $1 bills, and 3 quarters.
Okay. And was that also logged in?
That was also, that was secured into a, I believe, a clear plastic evidence bag.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, and from the right rear pocket of Odin Lloyd's jeans were a brown leather wallet. Inside that wallet, there was a Massachusetts driver's license showing his identification. The picture on the identification had the name of Odin Lloyd, had his address of 10 Facein Street, apartment number 2 in Boston, had his birth date of November 14th, 1985. And the picture on his license was consistent with the picture of the deceased male that was below me. There was also a an American Red Cross CPR card in his wallet as well.
Okay. Any other items that you took possession of at the scene?
I did at the scene. No.
Okay. Now, at some point, how long did you remain on the scene?
I was there from approximately that 6:30 to 6:35 time frame until approximately 8:20 to 8:25.
Okay. And where did you go once you left the scene?
I returned back to the police department, North Attleboro.
Okay. And when you were back at the scene, were any, did you recover any additional items?
I did.
And what items were those?
I received a Boston Red Sox hat, a white towel, and a blunt.
Okay. Do you recall who you received the Red Sox hat from?
Yes, I do.
Who was that?
Detective Daniel Arrighi.
Okay. And what about the white towel?
I received that from Detective Daniel Arrighi also.
Okay. And the blunt that you referred to, who turned that into you?
The blunt was also turned over to me by Detective Daniel Arrighi.
Okay. Now, what did you do with the Red Sox hat?
The Red Sox hat was turned over to a chemist named Alana Frederick.
Anything else turned over to her that night?
Yes, the same white towel.
And what did you do with the blunt?
The blunt was secured into evidence and later submitted to crime lab.
Okay. Now, within the next a day or two, did you do anything with regards to the shoes that you were wearing the day that you responded to the crime scene?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do?
I brought, excuse me, I brought my shoes to the police department. They were gray, white, black, and blue Asics running shoes, and I took a photograph of them.
Okay. Did you take a photograph of anybody else's shoes?
Yes, I did.
And who else did you photograph?
I photographed the shoes of William Cambio and also Chief John Riley.
Okay. And Chief Riley, was he at the scene?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
So I'm just going to show you 3 photographs and see if you recognize them.
I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
What do you recognize these 3 photographs to depict?
Collectively, those 3 photographs depict my sneakers and also Chief John Riley's sneakers.
I don't know if these are the next exhibit.
No objection.
Next exhibit.
And may I publish these this time?
So I have 181 on the overhead. Recognize those as the soles of your right shoe.
Yes, I do.
181B, recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Is that the other shoe to the left?
Yes, it is.
And the 181C, you recognize these shoes?
Yes, I do.
Whose shoes are they?
Those are Chief John Riley's sneakers, running shoes.
Was the chief off duty at the time
Yes.
you were there?
Yes, he was.
Now, sir, when you went back to the station, do you recall how long you remained at the station?
I believe it was late into the next morning.
Okay. And sometime around 11:15, 11:30, did an individual come into the police station that you recognized?
Yes.
Okay. And who was that?
Aaron Hernandez?
And when he came into the station, did he go somewhere?
Yes, he did.
And where did he go?
He sat in a room.
And the individual that you saw come into the station, did you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you just please point him out and describe what he's wearing?
Yes, he's seated to my right, my right in front of me. I believe it's a tan or off-colored white shirt, striped tie, and a dark suit jacket.
Your Honor, if the record can reflect the identification of the defendant. Now, when you said you saw him in a room, did you know what he was doing?
He was waiting for somebody.
Okay. And do you recall how long he waited?
Approximately 45 minutes.
And during that time, did you see him doing anything?
I did.
What did you see him doing?
I saw him texting on his phone.
And at some point, when you saw him doing that, were the lights on or off in the room?
The lights were on. However, at some point, the lights did go off.
Okay. And when you saw him texting, was he standing, seated, or in some other position?
He initially was seated, but he ultimately laid down on the floor, indicated that he was tired and was considering taking a nap.
Okay. Now, after that 45 minutes, did you see where he went?
He left the room.
Okay. And do you know where he went?
No, I did not.
Did you see him again at the station?
No, I did not.
Now, at some point, did you remain involved in the investigation?
I did.
And at some point, do you recall driving between certain points between North Attleboro and Boston?
I do. I did.
And do you recall on how many different occasions you did that?
I did that on 2 different occasions.
Okay. When was the first occasion you did that?
The first occasion was Monday, June 24th, 2013.
And just tell us, on that occasion, or on that date, where did you drive, where did you start, and where did you drive to?
On June 24th, 2013, I began the drive at 22 Ronald C. Meyer Drive in North Attleboro at approximately 1:12 in the morning.
Okay. And whose home is that?
The home of Aaron Hernandez.
Okay. And where did you drive? Let me just ask you this. From 22 Ronald C. Meyer on that date at that time, did you, at some point, did you drive from there? Well, just tell us your route of travel.
Well, we left 22 Ronald C. Meyer Drive and drove down Ronald C. Meyer Drive until we arrived at the intersection of Homeward Lane. We took a right onto Homeward Lane, followed that to the end, arriving at the intersection of Landry Avenue. We took a left into Landry Avenue, and we took a right onto John Deach Boulevard, which is the main road that travels through the industrial park in the town of North Attleboro. We followed that road to the end, which brings us to Robert Toner Boulevard. We took a left into Robert Toner Boulevard and an immediate left onto Route 95.
Okay. And so when you left, how long did it take you to drive from 22 Ronald C. Meyer to where you got onto Route 95?
Approximately 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay. And what speeds were you traveling as you drove this route?
We drove approximately the speed limit.
And when you get onto Route 95, what direction were you traveling in?
North.
Okay. And how long did you drive now from what exit is that?
That is on Toner Boulevard. The exit there is exit number 5.
Exit number 5. And is that has a route number? Do you know,
that would be probably associated with Route 152.
Okay. And so from exit 5, you drive north, and how far did you drive north?
We drove to north of 95 to 93, north to the Blue Hill Express gas station.
Okay. Now, when you were driving north on Route 95, do you know if you went through the town of Foxborough?
Yes, we did.
And when you ultimately, did you get to the Blue Hill Express?
Yes, we did.
And just indicate to us at some point does 95 come to a split?
It does.
And which way did you go?
At the split, we went to the right.
And how far after going to the right, what route would that be?
After taking a right at the split, from 95 north to 93 north, we took, I believe it's the 138 exit 2B, which I believe is the first exit.
Okay. So just now from exit 5, North Attleboro, Route 152, how long did it take you to go from that location to the Blue Hill Express?
From exit 5 to the Blue Hill Express would be approximately 20 minutes.
And just with regard to when you said you get off at the exit there, 138, just tell us how far is Blue Hill Express from that,
It's a very short distance. It's almost immediately off the ramp.
Okay. Now, after driving there, did you drive somewhere else? Did you leave Blue Hill Express and go somewhere else?
Yes, we did.
Where did you drive?
We drove to 10 Facein Street in Boston
And how did you do that?
via Route 93 north to the Massachusetts Avenue exit.
Okay. So leaving Blue Hill Express, just describe how you got back out onto the highway.
We exited the parking lot of the establishment and got back onto 93 north.
Okay. Do you cross Route 93 north to get back onto it heading north? Meaning, is there some form of bridge or?
I believe you get back onto 138 and get back onto the highway and loop back around.
Okay. And you said you traveled along 93 north to a certain exit?
Yes.
What exit was that?
It was the exit number 18, the Mass Ave exit.
Okay. And Mass Ave at exit 18, what did you do from there?
We continued to drive through a series of back roads till we reached the destination of Facein Street.
Okay. And did you take the most direct route of travel?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Now, how long did it take you to go from Blue Hill Express to 10 Facein Street?
Approximately 23 minutes.
Okay. And so your total trip now, beginning at 22 Ronald C. Meyer, you indicated was 3 to 5 minutes to exit 5,
Yes.
and then 20 minutes, an additional 20 minutes to Blue Hill Express,
Yes.
and then Blue Hill Express to Facein.
In total, it would be approximately 48 minutes.
Okay.
In total, it was approximately 48 minutes.
Okay. And that would be going along essentially the route of 95 to 93.
That is correct, yes.
Did you then, after reaching that, did you then turn around and drive back
Yes,
to
we
North
did.
Attleboro? And when you drove back, so you left 10 Facein.
Yes.
Were you keeping time as well on the way back?
Yes, we were.
And how long did it take you on the way back to go to the Blue Hill Express?
From the time we left 10 Facein Street and passed by that exit, it was approximately 20 minutes.
Okay. And the first time when you drove it heading to there, I think you indicated 23 minutes.
That's correct.
What accounted for the difference?
It could have been some traffic lights, different intersections that we may have stopped at.
And where would you have encountered traffic lights? Just
In some of those side streets in the city of Boston, in between getting off the exit and arriving at Facein Street.
okay. Now, you said there was a separate occasion. Or actually, if I could have a moment, Your Honor. Sir, I'm just going to show you two maps and ask you if you recognize them.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, what do you recognize these to be?
This first map here depicts 22 Ronald C. Meyer Drive and the route of travel from Ronald C. Meyer to Homewood Lane to Landry Avenue to John Deach Boulevard to Tone Boulevard to 95 South to 93 North to the Route 138 exit.
Okay, and what was the destination depicted on the map?
The Blue Hill Express gas station.
Okay. What about this second?
The second one depicts the Blue Hill Express gas station getting back onto 93 North, getting off of the Mass Avenue exit and driving a direct route through some back roads to 10 Facein Street.
Okay. And do these two maps fairly accurately depict the route of travel that you took on that road, on that drive that you've just described to this jury?
Yes, they do.
No, no, no.
So let's shoot for 1 second.
Sure.
Thank you. No objection.
And that's the next exhibit.
On A to A and B.
Thank you. I'm going to publish these.
You may.
I'm just going to place this now on the overhead. It's been marked 182A. Can you see this all right?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Sir, if you just describe now the route that you took, if you point at it and I'll just sort of track it.
Yes, sir.
Well, let me ask you this just to make it easier. Your blue line on this map over in here,
That would be Ronald C. Meyer Drive?
okay. And is there then a blue line drawn on the map?
Yes.
And does this track your route of travel?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And you indicated from Ronald C. Meyer to Homeward Lane to Landry to John Beach, and then from here, does that track 95 north?
Yes, it does.
You know, at one point I asked you, does that go through Foxborough, and you indicated,
Yes, it does.
you've indicated, sorry, just down back at the bottom, from where you began to the highway, 3 to 5 minutes?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, and then from this point all the way, this is the split? You see that all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry, let me zoom that in. And that split you indicated, then you went up and got off at 138?
95 to 93 to 138, yes.
Okay. And that's reflected where the blue line ends, approximately there?
Yes, sir.
And your time of travel on route, I'm sorry, from Ronald C. Meyer to Blue Hill Express was?
Approximately 25 minutes.
And the second leg of that drive began at Blue Hill Express. Is that depicted there, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
And again, does the blue line track your route of travel?
Yes, it does.
You indicated travel on 93 North and at some point exited the highway at exit 18.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Is that in this area here?
Yes, it is.
And then made your way through to 10 Facein Street?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
In that drive, you drove it there and then back. There were two different times,
That's correct.
and the approximate time between those two?
Well, one was approximately 25 minutes, the other was approximately 23.
Now, do you have another occasion to drive between two different points?
I did.
And when was that next occasion, sir?
That was Monday, July 15th, 2013.
Okay. And when did you do that drive?
I began that drive at 2:33 in the morning.
Okay. And when you say 2:33 in the morning,
Approximately.
where were you at 2:33 in the morning?
In front of 10 Facein Street in Boston, Massachusetts.
And do you know where 9 Facein Street is as well?
I believe it's across the street.
Okay. And your proximity, when you said you started at 10 Facein Street, what was your proximity to 9 Facein Street?
Basically, it's a very, it appeared to be a narrow roadway to me, and it was probably right in the middle of both homes.
Okay. What was the traffic like, the traffic conditions at 2:33 in the morning?
The traffic conditions at that time were light.
And just tell us about that route of travel. Did you follow a similar or dissimilar course going from 10 Faiston Street to get back out toward the Mass Ave to the highway area?
We followed a dissimilar route.
I'm sorry?
It was dissimilar, a different route.
Okay, well, dissimilar, just tell us, where did you go from 10 Faiston?
We drove from 10 Faiston Street to the Mass Pike.
Okay, and how did you, what city roads generally did you take?
We took a left Faiston Street and took a few side streets on the way to the Mass Pike. I can't recall all of them by name.
Do you know if you took the most direct route of travel?
Yes.
Okay. And from there, at some point, did you reach a highway?
Yes.
And what highway did you reach?
We got onto Route 95.
Okay. And when you got on to Route, I'm sorry, Route what?
We went to the Mass Pike.
I'm sorry, let me just back up a second. From the city streets, once you travel from 10 Faiston, when you first hit a highway, what highway was that?
That was the Mass Pike.
Okay. And where is the general area where you got on the Mass Pike?
I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Do you know where Route 93 is?
Yes,
Was it in the vicinity of 93 where you picked up the Mass Pike?
I believe so, yes.
Do you know where the city of Boston, like the downtown part is?
Yes,
Could you observe that when you picked up the Mass Pike?
I believe so.
Okay. Now, when you said at some point you traveled on the Mass Pike?
Yes,
Where did you travel to?
we traveled through the Weston Tolls.
Okay. Now, beginning at 10 Faiston Street at 2:33 in the morning, on the date that you did the second trip, how long did it take you to drive from 2:33 in the morning to when you reached the Weston Tolls?
Approximately 20 minutes.
Okay, so what time would you have arrived at the Weston Tolls?
Approximately 2:53 a.m.
Okay. And when you went to the Weston Toll at 2:53 in the morning, where did you go from there?
Continued to Route 95 south.
And how were you able to do that? What roadway, I'm sorry, did you exit the Mass Pike?
Yes,
And what roadway were you now traveling on?
we got on to after going through the tolls, we got right on to 95 south.
And from 95 south, where did you go?
We get off, we get off the 95 south at the exit 5 in North Attleboro, which is the Robert Tona Boulevard exit, also referred to as the Route 152 exit. We took a right off of the ramp onto Tona Boulevard. We took another right onto John Deach Boulevard. We drove through the industrial park, passing several businesses, some on the right being the American Firearms School. On the left would be Seekonk Supply. On the right would be the Metalor refinery. And then we drove into the crime scene, passing Corliss Landing on our left.
Okay. And just going back now, you left 10 Faiston Street, drove for 20 minutes, you're at the Weston Toll. How long did it take you from the Weston Toll to drive down to the intersection of where 95 and 93 meet?
That was approximately 11 minutes.
Okay, so your total time of travel from Faiston Street to that point was what?
From Faiston Street to 95 was approximately 31 minutes.
Okay. And from that intersection at 95 and 93, when you drove from there to the crime scene you referred to as Corliss Landing,
Yes,
how long did that take you?
that was approximately 20 minutes.
Okay. And so what was the total of time to get to the Corliss Landing?
Approximately 51 minutes.
Okay. And did you do something when you arrived at Corliss Landing where the crime scene that you had earlier been, where you'd seen that body of that man?
Yes,
What did you do?
waited
How long did you wait?
approximately 4 minutes.
Okay. And after 4 minutes, did you do something?
Yes,
What did you do?
we exited Corliss Landing.
And when you
ta-
exited Corliss Landing, which way were you now traveling?
We took a left onto John Deach Boulevard.
And by taking a left on John Deach, where did you go from there?
We continued on John Deach Boulevard to an intersection. At that intersection to the left would be a business called Needle Tech. We continued on John Deach Boulevard, passing another business on our left called Bell's Powder Coating. And also, we arrived at the intersection of Landry Avenue. And at that intersection, there's another business on the left, which is a fire apparatus building. We took a left onto Landry Avenue, passing by the North Attleboro Electric Company on our right. Continued to drive down Landry Avenue until we took a right onto Homeward Lane. Continued to drive down Homeward Lane until we reached Ronald C. Meyer Drive. Took a left onto Ronald C. Meyer Drive until we arrived at number 22.
Okay, and 22 is?
22 Ronald C. Meyer Drive is the home of Aaron Hernandez.
Okay. And what was the time now, after you waited the 4 minutes at the crime scene, to travel from there back to 22 Ronald C. Meyer, the home of the defendant?
Approximately 55 minutes to 1 hour.
Okay.
May.
Sir, I'm going to show you a couple more maps. Do you recognize this first map, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize this to be?
This map depicts departure from 10 Faiston Street.
Just keep your voice up if you would, please.
It depicts 10 Faiston Street, where we departed from, in entering the Mass Pike and following through onto 93.
I'm sorry, entering the Mass Pike and traveling where?
Traveling south on 95, 93 to 95, through the tolls.
Let me just ask you this question. When you said you get on, first you went from Faiston to the Mass Pike,
Correct.
and then you traveled what direction on the Mass Pike?
West.
And at some point you indicated you went through a toll.
Yes,
Where was that located?
that was at the entrance of 95 South.
Okay, is that accurately reflected here on this map?
I'm having a difficult time saying
Sure, I'm
it.
sorry. I should have given it.
I believe it's right here.
Okay, is that reflected on this?
Yes.
Okay. This next one I'm going to show you, do you recognize this map?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize this to be?
That depicts the entrance getting on to 95 South from going through the western tolls.
And traveling to where?
Traveling 95 toward 93 where the Blue Hill Express exit was.
Okay. This next map, beginning up here,
Yes, that's 95 South.
okay, and where did you drive to?
Ultimately driving to 22 Ronald C. Meyer Drive in North Attleboro.
Okay, and then this diagram here, sir, do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
That is a diagram of Corliss Landing showing a route onto John Deach Boulevard to Landry Avenue to Homeward Lane back to Ronald C. Meyer Drive.
Okay, and do these maps fairly and accurately depict your route of travel that you've just described to
Yes, they
these
do.
folks? Thank you. Your Honor, if I could have this one.
No objection.
In my next exhibit. A through A through D.
Thank you. Your Honor, may I publish these?
May.
So now I'm putting on the screen 183A. You recognize this as a route of travel from 10 Faceman Street, and the blue line tracking your travel to the western toll. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And you indicated the time of that travel was what?
From 10 Faiston Street to the western tolls is approximately 20 minutes.
I'm I'm sorry.
That was approximately 20 minutes.
And 183B is now on the screen. I'm just going to turn this way. Does this depict, by the blue line, where you got off the pike, picked up 95 and traveled to the intersection of 95 and 93?
Yes, sir, it does.
Had you continued this way, is that some short distance to 138, the blue?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
183C is now on the overhead. So you recognize this, depicting your line of travel down 95 south into the crime scene.
Yes, I do.
I'm just going back, when you indicated the first leg was 20 minutes, how long did it take you from the Weston Toll to Route 95, where it intersected 93?
From the Weston Toll to the next, to that exit was approximately 20 minutes.
I'm sorry, from the Weston Toll to 95 here, how long did that take?
That was an additional 11 minutes, I
Okay,
apologize.
so your total travel time to this point was what?
Approximately 31 minutes.
This drive now from 95 to the crime scene is how long?
That was approximately 20 minutes.
Okay, so how long have you been traveling so far?
Approximately 51 minutes.
And then the last one, 183D, you indicated you waited some number of minutes, 3 or 4 minutes?
We waited for 4 minutes.
4 minutes. So how long was that in terms of total travel time? That's 51 plus 4 minutes?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Approximately 55 minutes.
Okay. And then this route of travel back to 22 Ronald C. Meyer, how long did that take?
That took approximately 3 minutes.
So if it was 55 to here, how long was it to Ronald C. Meyer?
Another 3 minutes.
So total travel
Approximately.
time from Basin Street?
58 minutes, approximately 55 to 60 minutes.
We're going to stop at this point. We'll resume on Monday. I'm going to ask you to be a little flexible about next week. We're definitely not going to have an afternoon session on Wednesday. I believe we're not going to have one on Tuesday, but I haven't gotten, but I probably won't know that until Monday. If we stop on both Tuesday and Wednesday at 1, then we will be going a full day again next Friday. So I'll try to have better information for you on Monday. Please keep your mind suspended. Don't discuss the case among yourselves or with anyone else. Continue to avoid anything that could be about this case or Mr. Hernandez in a newspaper or television or any other media or social media, Twitter or Facebook, anywhere else. Please continue to avoid speaking or emailing, texting, or otherwise communicating in any form about this case with anyone. And if anyone starts any type of conversation with you or any kind of communication with you about your jury service or Mr. Hernandez of this case, please end it immediately, and please continue not to do any research about the case, Mr. Hernandez, or anything that you think could be relevant to the case. Have a good weekend. We'll see you Monday morning. Thank you.